Thank you, everybody, for the chance to share my personal love for this song. I first heard it back in around 1981 on one of these easy-to-listening radio stations that were so prominent all over the country. And after I heard it the first time, I never could find out who did it. And so over the years, I kept hoping someday I might find out what the name of the song was. And last year, I found at Goodwill a CD, and it had Ennio Morricone's song Chi Mai on it. Now, to this day, I still don't know what Chi Mai stands for in English. I don't know what the translation is, but it is by far the most beautiful song I've ever heard in my life. And I know a lot of other people have been touched by it as well. But I have, in my years since hearing it on the radio, I've heard it in another form as far as the rendition was different than what these versions that have been released on records and on CD. They're all the same technically, but there is a different style of it that I've heard, and I never have found it again. And I just figured, well, I can't sing it, I can't hum it because YouTube is going to say it's copyright. I can't use the music, they're going to say it's copyright. So I thought I'd do like an overview of the music that I've been able to locate since hearing the song. And to begin with, the song, of course, originally was heard in a movie called Maddalena, or Come Maddalena. It's never been released on video, and I doubt it ever will. Then after that, it was released in a movie called The Professional. And periodically thereafter, they've come out with other versions of his song. This one was called Disco 78 by Ennio. And I can tell all of you right now, it is no different from any of the other versions. They said this version of Disco was slightly different. It's not, because I've heard it, and every time I have, it's the same exact song of any other version that's been released. Now, the very first song he released of Come Maddalena of Chi Mai is definitely slower than the other ones, but that is still not any different than what he released in the years after that on record. This is the record itself from Disco 78, and I'll blow it up here so you guys can see the actual record label. And you can see that most of the music was originally owned by General Music, and then it was acquired by EMI, and they're just as stuck up as any other of these record companies about releasing it. They don't want people to hear the song anymore, other than what you're lucky enough to find on some of these compilation CDs that they release. But Come Maddalena, the CD soundtrack original, it is the hardest one to find either on record or on CD. Now, what made it popular to people on television was they used a small version of it in The Life and Times of David Lloyd George. This is the actual DVD that is marketed right now in the United Kingdom, and I was lucky enough to find it. But unfortunately, it didn't give the entire song. So if I heard it back in '81 on television, it's not the version I still remember. It's different in certain ways, but I've never found any other artist who did it other than what I have located on these records. This is another version that was done by BBC Records about the same time as Disco 78 was released, and it's exactly the same rendition. There is no difference in it. I've read on the internet several places that Disco 78 was definitely a different version of how he performed it. It is not any different. Disco 78 and these other versions that he did are no different. So thank you for coming today, and appreciate it.